Stewie. Good defense by Savali, but Stewie got it to go. Cloud. Decent look, and she knocked down the three.
That's a confident shot.
Stewie, quick step pass. Thomas! 1 minute left to go. Beavish knocks it down.
Yeah, that's how you start off the WNBA playoffs again. As I welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Rafique Louison alongside Geoff Magliocchetti from Liberty on SI. How you doing today, gentlemen?
Alive and well, Mr. Lewis, and thank you for having me on. You do a great job as always.
Yeah, we all doing a great job as well. And obviously, as you can see, I'm literally just into St. John's life. Let's just say, as you kind of already see, and I know you still doing everything you do with the New York Liberty. Last time we bumped heads, yeah, there was a WNBA initiative going on at Brooklyn Bridge Park. Fast forward right now, we in the big grind of the WNBA season. The playoffs started off. Of course, the Aces, Lynx, and the Atlanta Dreams start off the playoffs to the win. No surprise, but the Liberty, that's a big deal, especially in overtime against the Mercury. What you think about?
It's so interesting how the Liberty Mercury series is the one that has caused the prognosticators. It's evenly split the prognosticators perfectly. The other three, they do feel like almost foregone conclusions in a sense. All due respect, of course, to Golden State, Seattle, Indiana, respectively. It's just, it is unfortunate in the sense that those bottom three, it does feel like a foregone conclusion in those series. But Phoenix, New York has really split the prognosticators a bit, and it really feels like that series could go either way. Game one really proved that. Both teams are heroines on both sides. Each team had their run a little bit, and who knows, of course, what will happen now with this Liberty injury to Breanna Stewart. So what's interesting is that now what happened in the regular season, I spoke with some of the Liberty players today. Sabrina Ionescu had a quote that stood out to me. She talked about the, quote, beauty of the struggle, which basically she interprets to say how the struggles in season will, translate into something great in the regular season, because we in the postseason, because we saw a lot of unfamiliar names get some major minutes during this season, which just featured a plethora of injuries. There were medical reports or pregame injury reports that resembled all-star teams out this year for New York, and not just New York. They will look no further than Indiana too, for the record. But I think what's interesting about this is that New York found a way. Natasha Cloud really stood up. 23-5-6. What a fantastic game she had. First one to have, I believe, a 25-5 game. 25-5 game since Neko Gumake when she did for the Los Angeles Sparks back in 2016. So I think that's a great sign. The New York Liberty found a way to adapt, but can't count Phoenix out. This is a very talented Phoenix team. The only reason they're pretty much in the fourth seed right now is because the W is once again so top heavy, and we're going to see a very talented team, be it New York, be it Atlanta, be it Las Vegas, be it Minnesota, be it Phoenix. A talented team is going to lose in the first round, and two more talented teams will not make the finals. So what an interesting postseason this has been already. Again, three of the series do seem like foregone conclusions, but there is a lot of story to be told, a lot of basketball to be played in this New York Phoenix series.
Exactly. No question about it. Like the way game one of this series was playing out, you wouldn't think you're watching game five of the WNBA finals all over again with the way the teams are playing defense and the fact that there was not enough three-pointers being made between these two teams. But Natasha Cloud really stepped up when it mattered the most, and that literally triggered the offense that we expect to see for New York Liberty. And not to mention the fact that they're really undefeated when everybody's playing. When they weren't healthy, the Liberty were playing like average most of the time. I mean, you saw how badly they played when Breanna Stewart was sitting out for a month. You saw how badly they played when Jonquel Jones missed a month. When Sabrina Ionescu missed a couple of games. When they come together, you really seen the championship grit that they've had last year. And it showed in the win against the Phoenix Mercury.
It truly is magic, and that's only complemented further by the addition of Natasha Cloud. I think Liberty PR put out a very interesting stat, something along the lines of the top six lineups or the top four lineups at the very least in the WNBA in terms of net rating, all feature Natasha Cloud, or at least the Liberties at that point, which is a very interesting standout fact to me. And Natasha Cloud has fit right in because she's basically the new kid on the block when it comes to the Liberty starting five. Of course, Benaj Hamilton, get well soon, out for the season, contract suspended for this year. So Tosh Cloud comes in and really just fits in, really buys into what the Liberty stood out. Like she really buys into the mission statement. She has really embraced the concept of New York basketball, playing Liberty basketball fairly quickly. And I'm glad you mentioned the overtime period, Rafique, because I wrote recently, it really did feel like deja vu or deja seafoam blue all over again in that overtime. Points were hard to come by, but a clutch three in the opening minute, this one hit by Natasha Cloud back in game 5, of course, it was Leonie Febish, and a couple of clutch Leonie Febish baskets. Sabrina Ionescu finds her on a beautiful cut for a basket that more or less served as a dagger when Phoenix was fighting back into the game. It really did look like game 5 all over again. You know, if you submitted that as a sequel to the Liberty's championship run, the studios would reject it for repeating the same story, although that doesn't seem to be a problem with the box office today, but I digress. I think that experience is really coming in big. It sounds so cliche. It sounds so, I don't want to say irrelevant, but it sounds like coach speak. But Cindy Brondell really emphasized the idea of having experience, working together, playing together, building that chemistry. And that experience really paid off in game 1. This team looked together. This team looked like they were not fazed by the bright lights of overtime. And here's an interesting stat that stood out to me, Rafique. Since the WNBA switched to this, let's call it the no buys format at this point, 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5, the no buys format. So since 2022, the Liberty have 3 overtime playoff wins. The rest of the league has 2 combined. That really stands out to me, and it really is a testament to how important experience can be in a championship run, especially a repeat.
Sure. Without question, you're telling me the Liberty have had crazy victories in the first round when we don't even expect it to happen. Right now, they're getting wins, and you do expect it to happen. I mean, what else is there to say? This is literally a helpful win. I mean, it's not one of the greatest victories of all time, but it's a win that could determine the direction of how far Liberty go. Will it be game 3 in the first round, or will it be the semifinals? And that's literally, well, that along with the win, along with game 2, will really determine how far the Liberty will go in this postseason. Will it be game 3 in the first round, or possible game 3, 4, 5 against the Minnesota Lynx if it comes to that? And it looked like a foregone conclusion. It really does. But to change the topic real quick, I mean, how impressive was it that the Golden State Valkyries, in just their first season of existence, made the postseason, even though they got wrecked in game 1, but they really show you why they're an expansion team.
If I recall correctly, they had a lead after the first quarter in that game, right?
Yeah, they did. I mean, they started out pretty good. They actually had a 7-point lead to begin the first quarter, but then Minnesota showed you why they came out to play. They're not playing around.
I mean, it really is unfortunate.
I mean, I knew that wasn't going to hold up, and I knew that lead wasn't going to hold up because Minnesota is just too deep for Golden State. This team just came together. This team has only been around for like 4 months. But this goes to show you can't sleep on the expansion teams.
Oh, no, not at all. And that's been the story of this Golden State season. If and when the inevitable comes to pass in that series, Golden State has nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, look what they're doing without their all-star in Kayla Thornton. Look what they did. Tip Hayes did not play in that game on Sunday, I believe. So I think that this is just a testament to what Ohema Nyanen and Natalie Nakase are building over there. There's something truly special going over on there. It is unfortunate too because they got kicked out of Valhalla at the Chase Center. Now they have to play in San Jose at this point to save their season at this point. But at the same time, they have nothing to be ashamed of. They have built something great over there, and in less than a year, they have built an attractive free agent destination. They have built an attractive environment where players are allowed to succeed. So there's nothing to be ashamed of for Golden State if and when the inevitable comes to pass tonight.
Yeah, ain't nothing to be ashamed of. And you know what? That area in San Francisco has already had championship pedigree from Stephen Curry's championship wins. So what you thought was going to happen in Golden State when the WNBA team finally plays in San Francisco, and they literally feed off the same crowd that's already been always been at capacity with thanks to Stephen Curry.
Hmm.
It's just crazy to me how the unpredictable always happens.
I think I didn't expect Golden State to be this great right from the jump. I thought there would be the struggles because there were about 4 different points this season where I looked at the standings and said, okay, Golden State's back to earth. What do we expect? There were 4 different points. But they overcame each and every one. And it was a little upsetting to see them fall to 8, especially because, if I recall correctly, they entered the final day of the regular season 6, and then tiebreakers just really did not work in their favor in the end.
But yeah, they did not, especially after they lost that game to the Seattle Storm. I mean,
yes,
if they had won that game against Seattle Storm, they'd probably be a 7 or 6 seed. But you know what? This goes to show that it's very competitive when you're thinking about like it's a very competitive league. There's only 8 teams can make it. Not everybody can get in. And I understand what the former coach Latrice Turmel. I mean, I believe the coach from the Dallas Wings said it. It's really not two. This really shows it's not really 2 super teams. There's 16 super teams now. Well, at the time she was coaching, it's only like 14. There's really 15 super teams. You really think about it because these teams come out to play hard no matter what the expectation is. You just see Paige Beckers win Rookie of the Year. No surprise right there. I thought what she done for UConn.
Oh, no.
Surprise. And then obviously somebody for Golden State won 6 Women of the Year.
Veronica Burton.
Veronica Burton won 6 Women of the Year.
Yes.
That just goes to show that everything that there's going to be some new blood in the WNBA coming up. It's not just about being good enough to win right now. It's about being good enough to win in the future.
And unfortunately, there does feel like there is a last hurrah to this type of thing because once the finals wrap up, it just feels like everyone's embracing for the inevitable ugliness that the collective bargaining agreement talks are going to make. And it does make me wonder, did the WNBA, did they get too big too fast? Because we are seeing a 44-game season. We are seeing some of the side effects of that. We're seeing a playoffs where teams are completely depleted coming into it. I mean, look at not just Golden State, look at Indiana as well.
No Caitlin Clark.
They're not just Caitlin Clark, it's Sophie Cunningham too. It's even some of the players who have stepped up. It's players like Chloe Bibby on that injury report. So I think it's really tough to see that this kind of, I don't want to say blow up in the W's face. I believe ESPN announced that this was their highest WNBA rating season ever. So I think this does put a dent in the trope that no one watches the W except for Caitlin Clark. So I think that's a step in the right direction. But there are still some side effects we're seeing to this at this point. Did the W kind of bite off more than it could chew in the early going? Yes, you can expand the season. I think they're going to expand it more. I foresee a 50-game season at some point in the near future. But again, it's almost to quote Jeff Goldblum, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should.
Yeah, that's something that's going to be in conversation when you think about the collective bargaining agreement. And I've seen some interviews, some conversations talk about whether or not this collective bargaining agreement talks is going to hold up to prevent a WNBA lockout. And that's something that Neko Kumek is going to do to try to avoid that.
Yes.
With that,
again, it does cast a slight pall over these proceedings. I think we're going to have a great finals. The conventional wisdom suggests it's going to be Minnesota versus Las Vegas, but we're seeing New York raise a challenge. We're seeing Phoenix raise a challenge. Atlanta is certainly not going to go quietly in a night. So we have a great postseason underway, and it can produce something special. But now the key becomes don't make it the last hurrah, because the league is at a point where and look, I've never really, I know there are tons of bad faith arguments out there about, why should they be paid more? But there are outside parties willing to compensate this league, willing to broadcast these games, and those who are most responsible, the players, should see more of that. So I'm willing to see that. I'm willing to hear the amount. Sabrina Ionescu said back in just after the All-Star break, she basically said it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So an agreement, that is. So I think that I think the sooner they get this done, the better. But I'm not. I don't think there will be an immediate resolution. But it'll be interesting to see how kind of reality kind of sets in once the Finals Trophy has been awarded. The Finals Trophy really needs a name. I don't like calling it the Finals Trophy. I need like a Can we not call it the Taurasi Trophy or something? I don't know.
Yeah, that's something they're gonna think about. But look at the bright side. I love that championship banner you have in the background, by the way, with the New York Liberty.
Oh yeah, that's
very nice. It's a very nice pickup right there. I mean, that's
nice little opening night find. Very enjoyable.
Just like the one that happened. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when you get involved with the WNBA because you're doing your part to try to make sure that the success is sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, geez, I remember last year I went to like two different watch parties. Both of them being downtown Brooklyn area, where like the celebrations, the fan engagements, the way that former players from teams that are already eliminated willing to invest into it, it's just crazy. Bumble's invested into it. Man, so many different companies are doing what they can to try to elevate the WNBA.
So the engagement is obviously there. It's
it's just a matter of whether or not it's going to be sustainable after the lock. If and when a lockout happens, let's just hope that it doesn't happen, because the conversations say that they're having a tough time coming to a great collective bargaining agreement. I mean, especially when you got players that are not getting the payment they deserve. I mean, look at the Players More campaign that Kelsey Plum was involved in.
I think that look, they're right there. I think cooler heads will eventually prevail. I just hope it doesn't get to a point where it kills momentum for the season. So time will tell. In the meantime, we have a heck of a postseason on the horizon. Still plenty more to go. That was only day one. So
yeah, it's only day one.
Yeah, so let's see what that has for us.
Yeah, obviously it's only day one, and I mean, at the time of this recording, the results for tonight's games won't be talked about. But what we can say is, do you see Indiana going home or the Seattle Storm going home, or will both force a game 3?
That's a tough one. That really is a tough one. Indiana maybe, because I think not enough time has been dedicated to what Kelsey Mitchell has done there this season. If I recall correctly, she did get a first team all WNBA nomination from the Associated Press. So that was a nice little pick me up. That was great to see for that. But not a lot of people are talking about what Kelsey Mitchell has been able to do down there. And Indiana did give them a game. So if it's between those two, I think Indiana is more likely to. The Vegas winning streak will end at some point. I just don't see Seattle doing that. So I feel like I will stick with Aces and 2 on that one.
Yeah, you got an interesting point. Now, getting to tomorrow's games, and I understand where you're coming from when you said the Valkyries have nothing to be ashamed of in terms of actually getting swept, but let's be realistic. Do you see the Valkyries getting swept?
I think I do. I really do. And
I thought the same thing.
Nothing to be ashamed of. It's just a lot to ask for an expansion team to take on a very, 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 very angry Lynx team, very eager to prove something. And in terms of New York Phoenix, I would advise New York to get this done as quickly as possible, because
they have to.
When I looked at the bracket and I saw New York Phoenix, it's unfortunate that they don't kind of reseed these things, because my first thought was, no matter who wins this series, they just might be left a little too exhausted to face Minnesota. But the Liberty can get a gift in more ways than one if they pull off the win tomorrow. First of all, offer a nice little gift to the fans, to the home crowd, by procuring advancement. But if they win on Wednesday, they won't play again until Sunday. From both a physical and mental perspective, that would be just so huge for the Liberty repeat run. To get 3 days off where Breanna Stewart inches just a little closer, perhaps, to full strength. She's supposed to be questionable tomorrow. I don't know. But look, I'm not sure. Time will tell what New York can do if and when it comes to pass that Stewie cannot play or doesn't play. Time will tell. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I personally think she'll give it a go, albeit on some form of minutes restriction. But I'm not a doctor, so what does my opinion matter? I think I think she'll give it a go, and I think New York is at least somewhat better prepared for a Phoenix onslaught this time around. Because let's face it, for about 2 quarters, maybe 2.5, they did a solid job against Phoenix the last time they did battle, and I think several women were missing from that one before Phoenix kind of did Phoenix things and ran away with it. So again, if they can capitalize tomorrow, that would be huge. So looking forward to see what happens there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm low-key confident. Even if Breanna Stewart doesn't play, I'm confident they're going to win. But it all depends on. But the rest of the role players and the bench have to step up if the Liberty going to win this one. Especially, we're going to need more in the top. We're going to need to be on cloud nine a little bit more if they're going to pull off this victory.
I think what's truly different about it this time around is the addition of Rebecca Gardner. Rebecca Gardner, the last time they played, I think it was August 30th. I could be wrong, though. It was late August when they last played. Beck Gardner was, she had not played massive minutes in a long, long time, nearly 2 months. And when Sabrina gets hurt due to the toe injury, Beck comes in, looks really strong, was among the top leaders in net rating over the final week or so of the season. So that is a huge get for New York. And the thing about this super team era, I know New York is kind of they've kind of shied away, kind of not wanting to lose that label. But I feel like I've said it so many times, let's just say at least since 2023. The ironic thing about a supposed super team is that you only go as far as your depth stars take you. And I don't think it was by any coincidence last year that they win game 5 behind an onslaught, a scoring onslaught, and a rebounding onslaught from Niara Sabally. So I think that I think we're gonna see X factors rise in this postseason, and Beck Gardner is a prime consideration, due primarily to her long reach and due primarily to her defense, and also due to her tenacity, which ensures she will never ever quit on a play.
You got a point. And to wrap up this conversation, and obviously you mentioned you were there at training camp, and I know you probably like explained it just now, but how did the whole Liberty team look at practice earlier today? I said training camp.
Good spirits. Again, there, as Sab said, there is a beauty in the struggle. New York can literally act like it's been there before. I think that's what Sandy Brondello really adores. Lots of loud music during the portions that were not open to the media. They're preparing for a loud crowd, preparing for one on both Wednesday and, if necessary, Friday. So, but you heard them. You heard their joyous sound. You heard them hooting and hollering. So I think that this is a great opportunity for them, and I'm eager to see how it pays off because, again, they're prepared for this. They can indeed act like they've been there before. Reserve women have come in and really stolen the show for this group. And this team goes as far as its, again, a supposed super team only goes as far as its depth stars and role players take them. And a good way to do that, too, New York can win the rebounding battle, because when they win the rebounding battle this year, the Liberty is 15-3, and that record improves to 11-1 when they win the offensive board battle. And on Sunday, they won it by a +14 margin, which is their largest of the season. So keep that up, and Mercury will officially be in retrograde.
Yep, they got to keep it up.
Yes.
On to a set of New York teams that have been kind of struggling to start the season off. I mean, yeah, the Giants gave it their all against the Cowboys. Russell Wilson showed you what Russell Wilson could do, throwing up like literally over 400 yards. had one of the craziest touchdown passes to Malik Neighbors that you can get. But when overtime period came, Russell Wilson just pretty much gave the game away after that interception. It was just tough to watch.
I mean, yeah, Donovan Wilson could have called.
I mean, I expected Giants to be this good anyway, but you only score. But even a much better offensive effort with a Russell Wilson that's literally the decline of his career, and it's kind of tough. You want Russell Wilson to continue because he's your best quarterback, but Jackson Dirk, who's a rookie, you need to use him at some points.
I think they will use him at some point. He's there for a reason. And look, the best case scenario is that it turns into another Kurt Warner and Eli Manning situation. But it's way too early in the season for things like that. The Giants cannot have their season end, quote unquote, end by Halloween again, or even Columbus Day at this point. They cannot end by then. They need to stay in contention for at least a little while. But I know moral victories don't count in any sport. If moral victories count, we all be undefeated. But that was as close to a productive loss as you can get in the NFL, what the Giants were able to do on Sunday. Dallas only wins that game because they have the luck, the lack of luck of the Fighting Irish. That's just pure skill, what Brendan Aubrey is able to do. I'm very biased being a former long snapper, whatnot. It is great to see what he is able to. And it is great to see the brand of trust that the Cowboys put in this guy. They were running draws with 20 seconds left to get Aubrey in his field goal range of 60 yards, which is incredible. The guy, once you cross midfield in a relatively enclosed area like AT&T Stadium, he's in field goal range. That could prove to be more powerful than any tush push, especially if they start cracking down on the false starts we've been seeing on the tush push. But I digress. Again, that's another conversation. Wilson gave the Giants what they needed on Sunday in the sense that they just needed some form of peace, some form of serenity. They weren't going to survive if they were going to go into their home opener with people begging for Jackson Dart every time the ball sails over the head of Malik Neighbors, sails over the head of Wan'Dale Robinson. Every Russell Wilson incompletion would have been followed by a herald of boos, a herald of put Dart in. We saw it after week one. For now, those calls are quiet, and other offensive players are going to get a chance to shine. We saw Robinson. We saw Malik Neighbors. We saw Cam Scadaboo get himself a solid outing on Sunday. I know he dropped that. I know he had a tough drop on fourth down, but he becomes the first Giants rookie rusher or the fourth Giants rookie rusher to have a 40-yard game with at least 4 yards to carry, minimum 10 carries, and a touchdown, and that list is very strong. It is Tyron Wheatley, Saquon Barkley, and Tiki Barber. So some elite company for Cam Scadaboo there. But at some point you are going to have to get Jackson Dart in, especially if the postseason turns into more and more of a pipe dream. But look, if the Giants offense plays like that, they'll steal a game or two this year. They might even steal 3. So yeah, Russell Wilson is keeping his job, and he's keeping Metropolitan hopes afloat. I think at that point, this is all you can ask for the time being, because it's going to be tough for the Giants to crash the playoff party. There are way too many established contenders in there, and but for them to go up against an opponent that is clearly more talented than them, no matter what you say about the Cowboys, is the Cowboys always have a talented team. Whether that talent is used to its fullest extent or fulfills its truest potential, always a point of debate, always a point of emphasis. But the Giants were the better team on Sunday, and you had Dallas winning, by the skin of its teeth, thanks to Russell Wilson's one mistake of the afternoon. Hey, now Giants fans know what Tony Romo went through back in the late aughts to the early 2010s. So eager to see how the Giants get built. It's just going to be tough to do that, considering they're going to be going in against the Kansas City team that has a very, 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 very different 0-2 record. When you win a Super Bowl or 2 or 3, you can overlook 0-2. 0-2 is a minor inconvenience. For the Giants, anything but the case. But eager to see how that one plays out. I think it'll be close.
Yeah, they should give Kansas City a run for their money. But then again, if the quarterback is not well protected by the offensive line, that's going to be a problem.
Sure.
And that's something we don't think enough about. I mean, no matter what major pieces they have, they just don't do anything to sort out the struggles they've had with the offensive line and special teams.
Gosh, look, I mean, look, it's been a curse forever for the Giants from that perspective. But it's great to look. If the Giants can make a goal of playing consistently explosive football again, I think they can leave the season satisfied. Sunday was the first time in nearly 6 full years they got to 500 yards of offense. Nowadays, guys fall backwards. They get 500 yards in the NFL. It's not as hard as it used to be. Like, say what you will about defenses in today's minor league. It's not as hard to get 500 yards as it used to be. But the Giants finally did that. Now comes the hard part. Capitalizing on it and sustaining it.
Yeah, they have to. Something that the New York Jets couldn't do because strong effort and when they barely lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, they get smoked by the Buffalo Bills. This isn't too surprising to me. I mean, Justin Fields looks like he's going to be the quarterback for the future, and you have a new coach in Glenn. So, of course, the Jets are going to struggle to start off as well. But I at least expect somewhat of an effort. But even against a team that was a victory away from reaching the Super Bowl, that had their struggles in a row, with the only main struggle that Buffalo Bills had was defeating the Kansas City Chiefs in a playoff game, not regular season, playoff game. That's their only struggle. The Jets, a team that has literally the longest postseason drought for any major professional team. Yes, I'm talking about the logo on that helmet right there behind you. The longest playoff drought, not just for a New York team, but for sports, among the 4 major sports. This New York Jets team is just.
You messed up when the Buffalo Sabres, when you pale in comparison to the Buffalo Sabres. I think the Sabres might be longer. I got to look that up. But they might. Are they? I don't know. I'll figure that out. But I think I was very disappointed by that game on Sunday for the Jets because the way the Buffalo defense played against Baltimore, I thought the Jets could at least give them a game, especially the respectable way they came out against Pittsburgh. But for them to completely no-show and look like they wanted to quit by the end, that kind of stuff sets the franchise back. It's not Justin Fields, who had a great first game, then ends up in concussion protocol in week 2. That is what sustains momentum more than anything else. And the Jets kind of lost it. They had no effort. They couldn't even try, it looked like, on Sunday to do anything against Buffalo. So that is a tough defeat in more ways than one. So very disappointed with the Jets at this rate.
Yeah, very disappointing. And a side note, they literally tied with the Buffalo Sabres for one of the longest playoff droughts ever.
Ah, that's right.
14 seasons. The Sabres haven't made it to the postseason since 2011. That's kind of closer around the time when the Jets made the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their last playoff game. What do you know? That's literally 5 months after the Jets played their last postseason game.
Unbelievable.
We all know everything that happened in 2011. We don't need to. If somebody with a sports mind like you probably have an idea. We probably have an idea of everything that happened from LeBron losing to the Dallas Mavericks to let's see. The Texas Rangers loses San Francisco Giants.
Oh, wow.
Actually not online. No, wait, I'm lying. That was the year where the Yankees did make it to the postseason and they lost to the Detroit Tigers that time.
Yes, I remember that well.
It
bringing me back to school. I appreciate that. So
yeah, that was
the Foxes.
Yeah, that was something. That year was something else. But getting back to it right now, this New York Jets team, man, they have a long way to go to finally end the postseason streak or even come within the conversation of the playoffs. Next week they got to face the Tampa Bay Bucks, who are coming off a win against Houston Texans on Monday Night Football. That was a crazy victory, by the way. Now the Jets, they have to second guess themselves. They have a lot.
Perfect opportunity for a trap game. But after last week, it's going to take me a lot more convincing to ever believe in the Jets at this point, particularly in this season. So that game did damage in more ways than one, unfortunately, when it comes from a Jets perspective.
Yeah, coming up, in the upcoming games, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Miami Dolphins on the road. It's pretty much a glorified Florida road trip before coming back home to face the Dallas Cowboys on October 5th. What do you know? And then they have this, and then they have an international game against the Denver Broncos. Even though they are the whole team, that's an international game.
I hate to say it, Miami, Dallas. Those could be back-to-back wins, considering what we've seen the Cowboys. Nothing would define the new century modern Cowboys more than playing down to its competition like that and then losing via field goal. So,
yeah, that's going to be tough. I mean, anything can happen in the future. While the Giants, on the other hand, they have home games against Kansas City Chiefs. Teams, I mean, don't let the 0-2 record fool you, as you mentioned. They're going to be tough to beat. And then
they'll be furious.
And then the Los Angeles Chargers.
Look,
Giants have not beat the Los Angeles Chargers in God knows how long.
Kansas City is probably already rehearsing the "nobody believed in us" speech. So, looking forward to that. So, let's see what they can do. Maybe Taylor can write it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes this episode. Nothing but that sports talk. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Geoff Magliocchetti. We'll see you next time.